Hello there, good evening. Welcome to Look North. On the programme tonight, 2 years after a neighbour drowned in her flooded home, homeowners say nothing has been done to stop it happening again.
We feel like we've been forgotten about. We feel like we've been, almost sacrificed, something needs to happen.
We'll be live in Chesterfield and we'll hear from the town's MP. Also tonight, bereaved families call for a fresh inquiry into the 1994 helicopter crash that killed 29 people. We meet the 102-year-old Harrogate woman getting a very special birthday present. Join us later on Look North, where I will be skating just like that.
It's been another unsettled and showery day. Make the most of tomorrow. It looks the best day of the week before rain threatens again on Thursday. Join me for that detailed forecast.
Hello there, good evening. Welcome to Look North. Thank you for joining us. Welcome also to viewers from East Yorkshire and Lincolnshire. It's great to have your company tonight. First on the programme, 2 years ago, you may remember flooding from Storm Babette caused misery for people across our region, with hundreds of homes evacuated in South Yorkshire, North Derbyshire and Lincolnshire. On one street in Chesterfield, huge amounts of water flooded a row of terrace properties, and one woman sadly drowned in the water that filled her own home. A coroner at her inquest recently said her neighbours remained at deadly risk of flooding, and now they tell us that they feel like they've been forgotten by the authorities that are responsible for protecting them. Our reporter Mark Ansell is there for us tonight. Mark, this is a really worrying time, especially this time of year, isn't it?
Absolutely, Amy. It's 2 years on since the 26 houses here on Tapton Terrace were deluged with floodwater when the River Rother next door burst its banks. Now, just to give you an idea of the severity of the flooding inside the properties, it reached 5 feet high, which is up to the top of my shoulders. 2 years on, and there are no formal flood defences here, and very sadly one of the residents here, Maureen Gilbert, drowned in her own home. And at her inquest, the Environment Agency said the fact that there was the reason there was no flood defences was because of a lack of funding. My colleague Nicola Rees has been speaking to residents here on Tapton Terrace.
Look at that. Oh my goodness.
Every time it rains, Lisa and Simon feel anxious. 2 years ago, their home on Tapton Terrace in Chesterfield was flooded.
We had 5.5 foot of water in the house. You put things high up, expecting them to be okay, and then, you've come back the next day and everything's gone.
Unfortunately for people who have gone through it, life doesn't move on because you're still living with the memories of it and you know what can happen. And that's awful for people to live through.
When the nearby River Rother burst its banks, this street was flooded in minutes. Lisa's neighbour, Maureen Gilbert, couldn't escape and drowned.
Nobody should go through that. Being so alone and drowning in your own house is just unbelievable. It just doesn't bear thinking about, really.
I've no confidence in anybody doing anything to sort us out.
A few doors down, and Dave Corey's also had enough. He's lived here 30 years and says there's been an almost constant threat of flooding.
Within a week we could be flooded out again. And it's all talk. Everybody wants to talk about it. Nobody does anything.
Solutions have been identified to protect the 26 houses here, but none are considered cost effective.
There's been nothing done at all. So come this year, are we got to live through it again? Is it going to be any better?
Like many here, Steph Winnard's been flooded multiple times. She says in 2023, it was the speed of the rising water that caught everyone out.
When we got down path to go in house to put flood barriers up on fronts, it had already come in back door. 10-15 minutes it were as high at Spence.
Yeah, look at all that.
Yeah.
Disgusting. Yeah.
Lives are still at risk on this street. Residents say it's time to leave.
It's not financially viable, we're told, to protect us. There are ways, but the budgets don't allow it. So the only way in that situation is to sort the compulsory purchase out.
None of us want to leave, but we're having to face the fact that it's going to flood again. You cannot stop it.
There's another meeting this week between officials and residents, but people here are sceptical.
We're just a forgotten corner of Chesterfield. Yeah. Council, county council, the old saying.
You do all this and you wonder whether it's worth it, but if you like your garden, that's it, isn't it? You do it for your own peace of mind.
We feel like we've been forgotten about. You know, we feel like we've been, you know, almost sacrificed, you know. Something needs to happen. These statutory bodies surely have a responsibility to protect us.
Nicola Rees, BBC Look North, Chesterfield.
Derbyshire County Council and the Environment Agency have until next week to respond to the concerns raised by the coroner at Maureen Gilbert's inquest. We approached both the council and the Environment Agency to ask for an interview to put the many concerns residents have here to them, but they both declined. In a statement, the Environment Agency said, "In recent years, we have worked with partners to take steps to reduce the risk of flooding in Chesterfield from the River Rother and the River Hipper." Meanwhile, Derbyshire County Council said it is keenly aware of the risks of extreme flooding events, and unfortunately, in such extreme events, we can't prevent flooding entirely, but by working with partners and people who are at risk, we will look at all potential options to reduce the flood risk across Chesterfields. These words, though, will do very little to dampen the fury, the frustration, and just the feeling that they've been isolated and left alone for the residents here on Tapton Terrace, because ultimately they are still at risk of being flooded all over again. Amy.
Yeah, absolutely, and the fear as well. Mark, thank you. Well, we're going to keep on this because earlier I spoke to the Chesterfield MP, Toby Perkins, and I asked him why there'd been such slow progress in making Tapton Terrace safe.
We have very recently had the announcement of the £400,000 business case funding for a major scheme on the River Hipper. That was announced since the inquest, so that is a positive step. But there are both the need for minor issues which might help on smaller floods, and the sort of major schemes like the River Hipper one and the River Rother one, which has been already delivered, which I'm constantly sort of pushing government to try and bring forward.
That government funding you just mentioned, that's to investigate a business case, isn't it? There's no guarantee that that will happen, and if it does, it won't necessarily help down at Tapton Terrace, which is downstream.
Well, you're right, it can never be certainty about whether any of these schemes will prevent someone being flooded on a certain day in a certain case in point. I think the risk to Tapton Terrace is very substantial, and the Environment Agency have been speaking about the potential of a compulsory purchase order. And the Environment Agency said to me that it would cost more to protect Tapton Terrace than it would to buy those properties. So that sort of gives us a sense of the scale of the challenge there. But we also need to see, with regard to Tapton Terrace particularly, whether we can bring about a compulsory purchase order scheme that will help people in Tapton Terrace to find an alternative accommodation where they aren't going to constantly live with the threat of floods over their heads.
Absolutely. 2 years is a long time to be living in that state. They say that they feel like they've been forgotten and have criticised a lot of talk but no action. You are holding another meeting this week with officials. What do you hope will come from that, Mr Perkins?
Well, I think the first thing to say is people haven't been forgotten there. It's not just 2 years. People there have been living under this threat since 2007 when they were flooded the first time, and there have been smaller floods since then. So this is a long-standing issue. The government have put in place the highest ever level of flood funding this year, but we are competing with 6 million other people who are also at risk of flood in this country, and so the needs are desperate. We're bringing this meeting forward this Thursday to bring the Environment Agency, water companies and the council in front of local flood victims and try and make sure we get the level of urgency for this scheme that we desperately need.
Mr Perkins, thank you for your time.
Thank you very much indeed.
OK, let's move on now. Next tonight, 2 abuse survivors from our region have now resigned from their roles in the government's inquiry into grooming gangs. Fiona Goddard from Bradford and an anonymous Rotherham woman who goes by the name of Elizabeth have quit in protest at how the government has handled the process. Our Home Affairs correspondent Emma Glasby is in Rotherham for us tonight. Emma, this inquiry only started recently. Tell us what's happened today.
Well, Amy, the woman known as Elizabeth announced her decision to resign from the inquiry earlier this afternoon. Now, as a child, Elizabeth was one of hundreds of victims groomed and abused by groups of men, mainly of Pakistani heritage, here in Rotherham. Now, today, Elizabeth told me that almost as soon as she joined the panel, the victim and survivors panel of the grooming gangs inquiry, she had very real concerns about how it was being handled. She had concerns about it becoming very political. And in her resignation letter today, she wrote that she had begun to feel that much of the process was scripted and predetermined. Now, this is what she told me earlier this afternoon, just after announcing her resignation.
It was quite difficult because I thought we've waited years and years and years to get where we are now. But then also I have to stand by what I've been campaigning for. And yesterday, when I saw the other 2 survivors do what they did, it played heavily on my mind, and I thought I can't go around doing what I do and not do what's right.
What do you want to see from this inquiry? What do you need to see?
I want truth, transparency and integrity. But I don't think we're going to get it.
And Emma, as we just heard Elizabeth say there, this follows resignations from yesterday.
Yes, Fiona Goddard, who was groomed and abused by groups of men in Bradford, resigned from the panel yesterday, along with another survivor, Ellie Reynolds. Now, Fiona said in her resignation letter that the secretive conduct and conditions imposed on survivors had created a toxic and fearful environment. Now, she also said she had concerns about the scope of the inquiry possibly being widened, so not focusing solely on group-based grooming, but potentially being watered down. This is what Fiona had to say to us earlier today.
I was hoping that this would be the moment where it was done properly, but it wasn't just one thing that led me to the decision. It was a build-up of things over a period of time, and I just realised that it wasn't being done appropriately. People weren't being treated properly, they weren't being treated with the respect that a lot of these survivors have earned. Most of these people, they're not new to this, they've lived this for a long, long time.
Now, the government has denied any claims of a cover-up. The Safeguarding Minister, Jess Phillips, has said that the government is committed to exposing the failures and tackling these appalling crimes. Today, she has said that she regrets the departures from the panel, but she has said that her door is always open to the women.
Emma, thank you. OK, we're going to have a look now at some of the day's other news. And police investigating the murder of paedophile singer Ian Watkins in Wakefield Prison have made 2 further arrests. The 2 men, who are 23 and 39 in Wakefield Jail, have been arrested on suspicion of conspiracy to murder. They're in police custody. Last week, 2 men were charged with the murder of former Lost Prophets singer. They're on remand awaiting trial, Watkins was serving a 29-year sentence when he was killed last month. Campaigners for a North Yorkshire man serving a life sentence for murdering his wife say they're frustrated that new evidence in the case has not been put before the Court of Appeal. Robin Garbutt was found guilty of murdering his wife Diana at Melsonby Post Office in 2010, but has always protested his innocence. The Criminal Cases Review Commission is looking at the case.
The new evidence in this is showing that half of the data that was relied upon at Robin's trial are entirely wrong. Entirely new evidence that wasn't previously available to anybody, not to a solicitor, not to Robin, not to the world.
The Criminal Cases Compensation Board says an application's been received in the case and a review is underway. A man has been arrested on suspicion of murder in Stamford in Lincolnshire. Emergency services were called to a property on Foundry Road in the town early this morning. A 67-year-old man was found on the second floor with serious injuries and died later. Officers say the arrested man is 36 years old and remains in police custody. A man who spied on people as they undressed at Butlins in Skegness has been jailed for 3 years. Mark Simpson from Wallsend near Newcastle pleaded guilty to 2 charges of voyeurism after recording people getting changed at Butlins on 30 occasions. Families and relatives want to know when a cemetery in Lincolnshire will reopen after it was closed to the public over safety concerns. 57 gravestones were found to be unsafe at Holy Trinity Church at Martin, and there's currently no indication of when barriers will be removed. The District Council says it's working with the Diocese of Lincoln, but for those families buried there, the closure has caused real upset.
It's quite upsetting because they've now got dead flowers on their grave that we can't get to. The grave's not going to be tended and there's nowhere for me to go because they're not anywhere else, they're there and it's my place to go.
Next tonight, families fighting for an inquiry into a helicopter crash more than 30 years ago have travelled to Downing Street today as part of their campaign. 29 military and service personnel were killed in the Chinook crash in Scotland in 1994. Kathy Killick has more.
It's the latest sally in a battle for answers that's lasted 30 years and counting. A 47,000 signature petition and 110 questions delivered to Downing Street this afternoon, all concerning a helicopter crash in 1994. The Mark II Chinook crashed in June at the Mull of Kintyre, killing all 29 Special Forces and intelligence staff on board. One of them was RUC officer Maurice McLaughlin-Neely. His son Darren, who's from Huddersfield, is campaigning for a judge-led independent inquiry into what went wrong.
We've got children of our own, and that opportunity of being a grandfather was taken away from my dad. This is what we're trying to campaign for, is the why were these men not given that opportunity to know that this helicopter was deemed unairworthy.
When the crash was initially investigated, the 2 pilots were blamed, but they were exonerated in 2011 after a long campaign by their families. It emerged that the helicopter had recently been upgraded, and its test pilot told a BBC documentary he'd had serious concerns about the helicopter's safety. The records relating to the case were sealed by the MOD for 100 years to protect personal data. In a statement, the MOD said the crash was a tragic accident that has already been the subject of 6 inquiries and an independent judge-led review. The family's call for a full independent inquiry was turned down by the Prime Minister in August. They've now made a formal claim for a judicial review into that decision. Major Christopher Docherty was one of the victims. His funeral with full military honours was held in York Minster, and he's buried in West Tanfield. His sister Nicola was at Downing Street today.
We have evidence to prove that the aircraft was unairworthy. Somebody gave the order for it to be flown, and we have got the documents to prove that it should never have left the ground, and that is why we need a judge-led public inquiry to be able to get to those answers.
The crash was one of the RAF's worst peacetime losses of life. 29 families have had to live with their bereavement, and suspicions about the tragedy, despite repeated examination, have not been laid to rest. Kathy Killick, BBC Look North.
Aren't these images absolutely wonderful? A centenarian who was the first British service woman to enter the Bergen-Belsen concentration camp after the war has been awarded the freedom of her hometown on her 102nd birthday. Wow. This is Sheila Pantin. She's from Harrogate, and she helped clean and feed women and children who'd been liberated and later taught them to sew and knit. Olivia Richwald has been to meet her and hear her incredible story.
I'm Margaret Sheila Pantin, Sergeant Hull 75303. Never forget your number.
Sheila signed up to join the Women's Army aged 17.
And Father didn't want me to go, and I said to him, I shall go in October when I'm 18. And he knew I would. So he signed the papers so I could go.
She worked as a physical training instructor and a driver in the UK and Europe, and was serving in Belgium when she heard news the war had been won.
So when this man came on this motorbike and said, "It's over, it's over, it's all over. We're beating them." We just got ourselves smartened up, Hilary and I, ran round and caught the next train into Brussels. And did we have a lovely day, oh! And the people of Brussels and roundabout really were all over us. They gave us a good time, didn't they? And to this day, I don't know how I got back.
But Sheila's toughest wartime challenge was to come. She was sent to the Bergen-Belsen concentration camp in Germany to look after women and children who'd been liberated.
I shall smell that place to this day. It stank terrible. These poor women, oh, it was terrible, terrible, terrible to see them.
How did you look after the women and the children?
I had to get them clean first, because they were just filthy. They were frightened of me. I was a bit frightened of them, kind of thing. And it took me a long time to get to know them. But I got hold of the brigadier and I said, "Tomorrow I want children's clothes. Whatever you bring me clothes for the children." That was August. And by Christmas, I'd got a Christmas tree up, trimmings up, the children, all presents for them all. I often wonder what happened to those women, because they didn't seem to know where they came from.
In recognition of extraordinary service, today Sheila was bestowed with the Freedom of Harrogate, her home of more than 40 years.
In the world as it is today, which is riven with divisiveness and selfishness, as we're led to believe, there are people still like Sheila who are doing absolutely amazing, incredible things. The ripples of her life have impacted on probably thousands of people and hopefully will continue to do so.
Sheila, how do you feel to be a free woman of Harrogate now?
A bit overwhelmed. I don't know what they're going to expect of me, but I'm willing. Yes, yes.
The Freedom of Harrogate is a rare honour, but a fitting one for this centenarian whose service helped secure freedom for everyone. Olivia Richwald, BBC Look North, Harrogate.
Wow, what an incredible woman. I just need to remind you that Sheila is 102. I want to know your secret, Sheila, because you look fabulous. Thank you for sharing your story with us. Now, finally tonight, how are you at ice skating? I'm a little bit like Bambi on ice, but I do give it a good go. Now, if you want to see the real deal, Sheffield has been chosen to host the 2026 ISU Figure Skating European Championships. It is one of the most prestigious dates in the skating calendar. I think I've got just about enough time to get in shape. Lace up your boots. This is coming to Yorkshire. It's more than a decade since the UK hosted the ISU Figure Skating European Championships, but in a few months' time, some of the best in the world will be gliding onto the ice in Sheffield.
The European Figure Skating Championships 2026 is an amazing opportunity to see the very best figure skaters just before the Winter Olympic Games. So we will be seeing best figure skaters in the world at the pinnacle of their athletic careers.
Mark Hanratty is a former European and world competitor, as well as Dancing on Ice star. He knows a thing or two about reaching the icy heights of the skating world.
To become an elite figure skater is truly a lifetime of dedication and devotion, discipline of enormous proportion, and a passion for the sport of ice skating.
Do we have time to get me podium ready?
We can try. We can try.
Yes, that is what I like. Oh, let's go skate. Can't even stand up.
So you've got posture, you've got a soft knee bend, and you're going to go left.
I know you'd like to see me stack it, but I am channeling my inner Torvill Dean.
Got you.
Sort of. On to stage 2.
Let me try and teach you then backwards lemons.
What, lemons?
Lemons. So I'm making a lemon shape. Out and in. I think she wants to connect with the ice.
I look like a lemon now. Whilst I de-lemon, let me tell you about Nina Povey, a coach here at Ice Sheffield and figure skater for Great Britain. She has her sights set on competing in January in front of a home crowd.
It is the most exciting thing that I think I will experience in my skating career, having a home Europeans, a one-off opportunity that I can't wait to just watch unfold.
Meanwhile, something special is unfolding at the other end of the ring.
Oh, I feel sick.
My producer just said in my ear, you needed one of those penguins. Wasn't that bad? Because in my head I was good.
That was really impressed. Very, very good. Very good.
What's this about you wearing festive socks? What is going on?
I think I must have got dressed in the dark. I don't know how it happened, but there we are. Running a bit. We need to do a bit of washing at home, don't we? Never too early to put your Christmas
no, it definitely is too early.
It probably is. Right, let me show you a couple of pictures before we get on to the forecast for Yorkshire and Lincolnshire tonight. That's the River Derwent in Malton. The trees are turning a little bit later in North Yorkshire than they are in West and South Yorkshire, and it was a terrific sunrise. That was the skyline across Wakefield this morning before those showers moved in. If you've got any pictures you'd like to send to me, then you can do so on the addresses on the screen right now. So we've got some adverse weather to come in some parts of our region over the next couple of days. There's a warning in place for eastern parts of Yorkshire and Lincolnshire on Thursday, strong winds and some heavy rain. Tomorrow may well turn out to be the best day of the week. Most of us will be dry with some sunshine, but it's a very sort of complicated setup. It's this feature that'll develop on Thursday, bringing some gales along the coast together with some heavy rain. I think Friday looks quite showery, but a better weekend to come, certainly Sunday. Saturday looks dry and sunny. We've got a load of showers coming in across the Pennines, North and West Yorkshire at the moment, so it's quite wet in places. Further east, I think East Yorkshire and Lincolnshire will soon become dry with clear spells, and further west it'll become mostly dry. We'll see lowest temperatures coming in at around about 6 or 7 degrees. As for tomorrow, make the most of it if you can. A hint of 1 or 2 showers across the Pennines in the morning. That risk spreads to East Yorkshire and Lincolnshire through the course of the afternoon. But for many, it's a much better day. Most of us dry and bright, and there'll be some sunshine around. We'll see top temperatures 13 in Leeds, 14 in Hull and down towards Skegness. Further ahead then, there's that warning on Thursday, especially for eastern areas, but an improvement of sorts coming through over the weekend, and that's the forecast.
Talking about getting festive, we should go ice skating at Christmas time.
I don't want to break my leg, no.
I would love to see you on the ice.
I'm sure you would.
We can give you a penguin.
Thank you very
We'll
much.
let him have one, shall we? That is it from us. We'll be back with the late news at 10:30. Bye-bye for now.